In the new world of crypto ads, view botting, too many annoying IRL streamers, and a lot of fabricated growth, it is really not hard to see why people miss the old feeling of Twitch. When it used to only have a handful of IRL guys, it felt way more community based and everything seemed a lot more authentic. The real question is, can we ever really go back?
Sorry. $2. Ludwig, do you like wigs? Get it?
Click on the subscribe button. Don't smash it. Dude, we're getting shot at.
None. Oh my god, I'm at 1,000 viewers.
If we go all the way back, we find Justin TV, the original Twitch, but it actually began as a 24/7 live stream of one of their founders, Justin Khan. Later, they decided to revamp the website, allowing and encouraging everybody to stream and broadcast themselves. But they noticed something. After opening the website up to give anybody the ability to stream and adding categories to identify what you're streaming, one category grew so quickly that it had more viewers than every single other one combined. And of course, that was gaming. So based off of the sheer interest and the growth of gaming content over these years, they spent their time building their new and improved streaming platform, Twitch. Now, at the start, it was really nothing crazy, mostly StarCraft pros and fighting game tournaments, because people weren't really there for your personality. It was more about being able to see people who were really good at games play games, and that was most of Twitch during 2011. But it's important to note that nobody was asking, can we go back to Justin TV yet? Because there was really nothing to miss. In 2012, things got a bit more interesting because the founders of what Twitch is now started paving the way. League of Legends, the king, well, honestly, dictator of Twitch, started pulling in more and more viewers, and teams would move players into the same house to stream their games, which is something that was already notable on YouTube, but the live and interactive aspects of it made it a lot more captivating. Also during 2012, DayZ started to gain a lot of popularity and then ending up cementing itself as one of the biggest games on Twitch of all time. Well, actually, DayZ was a mod for a game called Arma 2, which essentially turned that war conflict game into a multiplayer zombie survival. Pretty much endless possibilities for unscripted moments and storylines. This success would lead to other games like GTA 5 to build on this platform and reach crazy high levels as well. Though during this developmental period of Twitch, we started to see the first true streamers. Instead of people who just did it for fun or do it as a way to show off their skills in a game, personality and vulnerability became the reason people couldn't stay off of this site. Fast forward to 2014, and an entirely new generation of people are streaming thanks to the release of the PS4 and the Xbox One. Their fancy new features allowed people to stream directly to Twitch from the console.
You talked about the PS4. All the day when in here, remember, I was streaming off of PS4 30, 60 days straight.
Allowing an entirely new audience of people who didn't have a full PC setup to broadcast themselves. This, alongside the rise of games done quick and speedrunning, people also started diving into how interactive a stream could be. Birthing Twitch Plays Pokemon, the biggest stream of the time. It held the non-esport record of a 121 peak concurrent viewership and had over 1 million participants who had at least typed in chat once to send their input into the game. Through Reddit posts, viral clips, and news articles, this would be one of the biggest boosts of new users on the website of all time. And as a lot of you know, Twitch would be later acquired by Amazon during the success in 2014, which circulated a lot more money and changes to the platform. See, I have actually left out a key detail. In this founding period of Twitch, you weren't actually meant to be streaming anything besides games, at least if you weren't partnered. There wasn't really an affiliate level at this point yet, and only really partners had the ability to freely stream whatever they wanted outside of gaming, unless you wanted to get banned. I actually found a Reddit post talking about how this guy's friend ended up getting banned on Twitch after going to get food and leaving his setup for 8 total minutes. Now, while that ban was a mistake, there was no question that they were still trying to tell people that they should stream anything outside of gaming back on Justin TV, but nobody really wanted to do that. again signifying that nobody truly wanted to go back to that old era of Justin TV, and they would just eventually close that site down permanently because nobody really wanted to use it. But things weren't all perfect for Twitch. After a major CSGO match fixing scandal and some of the biggest names on the platform getting exposed for scamming people, including a lot of kids, through gambling websites, which would actually later evolve into much more massive gambling platforms and giant gambling sponsorships that you would be called straight up dumb for passing up on, and they even added a dedicated section on Twitch for them. But at the time, nobody really understood that we were watching what would be the seeds of a lot of the things that people would consider problematic in the current day. So with growing interest for non-gaming categories and having some of the biggest faces of esports under fire, the IRL section was launched, opening the door for people to finally touch some grass, or at least watch somebody else do it. Ice Poseidon is literally the George Washington of IRL streaming. This is where I first started really diving into Twitch myself. I was watching a lot of CS tournaments in the previous years, but I feel like this was one of the biggest upticks in streaming culture as we know it now. Ice was walking around the streets of LA with an early stage version of the currently like $20,000 streaming backpack, just being straight up annoying in public. Mind you, in 2017. And of course, people noticed. They asked why they even allowed non-gaming content on Twitch in the first place. Which, honestly, I want to stop for a moment and just laugh at how full circle it really is. People begged for IRL streaming just for it to be hated, and now many wish to just go back to gaming alone. Moving on to 2018, Twitch entered the domain of mainstream media through Fortnite. And I'm sure I don't have to run through the entire history of Ninja and what he did for Twitch. But in short, his success in Fortnite allowed a much larger audience to understand that what he does as a career can lead to things much bigger than just sitting at a desk. But there are some key notes in this story that should be recognized. Fortnite was one of the first games to literally birth careers right in front of you. Not just like the biggest names like Ninja or TSM, but even smaller groups like Chronic and individuals like Tfue. It just seemed that everybody could have a chance to be in the spotlight. If you were funny enough, good enough, or just have a good personality in general, you had the ability to find success, which sparked a lot of interest in being a creator for people that haven't really fully dove into it yet. Though after all the initial hype of Fortnite departed and COVID rolled in, something did end up changing, and honestly, I think it went unnoticed by many. See, COVID allowed a lot of new faces to roll in, but one of the biggest was Your Rage Gaming. He started as a clip channel for Flight Reacts, but he got a lot of notoriety from his early days in Fortnite, where he would play with other streamers like Los Pollos TV, tell story times, and also was just pretty good at the game. He's also coined and popularized many phrases that people use and don't even know where they truly originate from.
You made Gat?
What? I feel like we've had this conversation
you're like famous.
before.
But I think the biggest one has to be considering a certain demographic of Twitch as the Poggers and the other half as the W&L community. See, that Twitch culture during the years of like 2011 to 2019 used a lot of terminology and emotes that all the new people didn't really understand or care about yet. So when these notable names that had some success on YouTube gained viewers on Twitch, their audience would create their own culture instead, using W instead of Pog and L instead of like some random Pepe. The content, the people, the overall energy was very different, which largely kept these groups from coming together that often. Thankfully, that wall has been broken quite a bit now, but I will say it's still not perfect. I even recall a clip that if I find, I will put on the screen for you to watch, but a really big streamer, I think Myth or somebody, was involved in the Among Us era. Now, they talked about how it was so weird trying to get into good Among Us lobbies with other creators due to just not being like let in, or if certain people were in the lobby that wasn't in great terms with somebody else, they couldn't join or the energy would just be different in general. They also mentioned how important it was to get into a lobby with the bigger creators because of the viewership.
I don't want to hear about kids in my stream. I was blacklisted from their very fucking Among Us groups. I was blacklisted from the game that I was literally #1 in because I didn't appeal to their children audiences. Hold on.
Meaning the effects are obvious. Over time, people stopped really caring about just the content itself, but also who you associated with. They would curate drama on Twitter and Reddit, and collaborating became much more lucrative because you would have half of your chatters spamming that they didn't like certain person or they found somebody annoying in the lobby. Some of them would truly try to stop you from just associating yourself with other creators. So a website that's already in a bubble by itself became a lot more divided. These groups would tend to share the same amount of viewers and there wasn't a lot of overlap between them. And a lot of those viewers wouldn't even open the website unless somebody that they watch or somebody related to them was live. So while the amount of new streamers did increase, the amount of people that were willing to watch somebody new didn't really follow that same trend. So let's look at the facts. Twitch is much bigger than it was previously, and through the acquisition of Amazon, a lot more money is circulating around the space, causing things to be much less authentic. A lot of creators are just seeking the monetary aspect, whether that was through gambling or just controversial ways to stream. Now, parasocial relationships developed, we have a high amount of new annoying IRL streamers who would literally do anything for views, and what feels like a really divided community. This being especially felt by smaller streamers who talk about how witnessing this, they feel threatened by the loneliness of streaming. Some avoiding collaborating with others, even if they're the same size, because they fear they are just trying to get a leg up in the industry by doing so. It seems Twitch has evolved into something unrecognizable to the people that built it, at least at the top level. I don't think the soul is completely gone, but I think it largely lives on through smaller streamers. Since I've started posting on TikTok, I noticed that I found a large network of cool people that like to collab, talk, and will just grow with you, instead of just seeing every other creator as competition. So if you want that old feeling of Twitch, I would start by looking for it outside of just the top 1% of all creators and giving more people a chance. But the question was, can we ever truly go back to Twitch being just about gaming? Probably not. But I would start by taking step one into going and helping people that are trying to bring it back. That said, I hope you enjoyed this video and I'll catch you in the next one.
我是B 汉堡。什么？